Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
He's taken another one, and Howard Foster has stopped it! Wow! That is going to be controversial!
That's a crunching right hand, and that must finish it! It must finish it!
Taylor trying to catch himself, using his jab, eats a right hand, another right hand, and he goes down! Oh my goodness!
The dream is made real! Ricky Hatton rocks the world with a truly stunning win over a modern legend! He is the champion of the world!
To connect with these guys, the Contender, because I thought it was just a joke. You know, like I didn't know much of the show. I didn't know it was the Contender at the time, but they were like, we're doing this project. So when I hear that they're doing this project and it involves boxing, I didn't at that point want to be a part of a project. So I kind of like tried to wing them off and tell them I wasn't who I was. They called me and asked for Brandon Adams, and I told them wrong number. So. Yeah, I was trying to steer away from these guys, and then they kept calling me. They were persistent.
I was gonna say persistent.
I had to go home. I talked to I went home. I talked to the wife. I told her about it. I was like, man, these people keep calling me, and she laughed and she was like, well, just stop answering your phone. And then eventually, more sources, more resources, more people start calling me. And reaching out to me from various different areas, basically. People that I was in contact with or did know of me, who knew me on a personal level, they was reaching out to me, and they wanted me to look into it. Then I found out it was the Contender, and at that point, that's when I was able to actually sit down at home with my loved ones, my trainer at the Dub Hundy, and figure out if I actually did want to do it. And my wife, she just kind of told me, like, look, this is probably what you was looking for. This is probably what you need to have that kickstart to get you going.
No, good, man. I mean, I guess you're definitely glad that you kind of finally gave in. I guess the family must be proud, and they must be very glad as well. I guess, when you signed up, did you know that, the likes of Freddie Roach, Nazim Hamed, Mohammed Soy, Andre Ward, did you know they were going to be part of the project as well?
No, I didn't, because I kept shutting it down every time they wanted to tell me anything about the show. I kept telling them, no, that's okay, thank you. And then once they told me it was the Contender, the actual TV show, they told me to go look it up, because, I've heard of it, but I never really knew what it consisted of. So I was like, nah, that's all right, man. If it was meant for me to be on this show, then whatever happens then, I'll face it when it's time. So I found out about Freddie Roach and Nazim and Andre Ward being a part of the show once they told me that, I made the show, because it was about maybe up to the range of 50 fighters trying to be on the show that we seen there. They said it was way more fighters that were trying to be a part of the show, over 300, I think. But I know for the casting, when we all sat down in this room, it was probably up to 50 of us sitting down, signing papers, filling things out to try to be involved with this show. So once I knew that I actually made it, then that's when they start to reveal who was coaching, who was hosting, and what we were going to be doing around this time.
Nice. No, so like I said, when we got that show in the UK, I have to say I watched the first one with Sylvester Stallone and Sugar Ray, and it was cool, Ishe Smith. But this one just felt a bit more engaging. Maybe it's the social media age. Maybe it was the kind of the backstory of all the fighters as well, and the competition level as well. So, yeah, I was definitely hurt. A lot of the boys over here were kind of talking about it. I guess when you look at, when you saw the guys that were entering, that were challenging and competing for this, for the competition, did you recognize any of them? Did you spot out somebody and you thought, this is going to be my toughest competitor if I want to win this thing?
You know, when I walked in that room, when I seen all of them faces turn around to see me come in, because I was like one of the last fighters that walked through the door, because I was one of the last fighters that actually accepted it to be on the Contender. It was like when I walked in there, it was like a high school. We were all taking an exam, right? And then I come in late, so everybody turned and looked back at me. And when I came in, all I seen was a familiar faces. Everybody. I probably didn't know, honestly, maybe just 10 guys in there. Everybody else I've known, I've seen fight on TV, or we've met in person. So one of the first people I met when I was in there was John Thompson, because he was sitting so far back. And I seen him. So as soon as I seen him, I looked at him. I said, "Oh, John Thompson." I went and jogged towards him. And he was like, "Oh, man, Brandon, get away from me." And I was like, "Oh, no, the world, they want to see it. They need to see this round too. They need to see me and you fight again." So, you know, me and him was laughing at that. We were messing with each other about that. He was like, "Man, get away from me." But I was, like, pushing at him and stuff. So then I kind of looked up and I looked around and I started to notice more familiar faces. And I got, like, at the time, I didn't think, "Oh, man, I'm going to have to fight any of these guys." I was, like, happy to see that these guys was doing good. Like, I was happy to know that we was all on the show, or that they wanted to be a part of the show, because that meant to some degree that, you know, they've been doing good with their careers.
Exactly. And it's that element of iron testing iron, right? So it's all good being in a competition like the Contender, but you do want quality opponents. You want guys that are really going to push you. And one of the guys that you faced in the competition, Eric Walker, was somebody a lot of people tipped to potentially go all the way. And you had a more than interesting fight, a very tough fight. Would you say that may have potentially been tougher than the final itself?
Yeah. Me fighting him, me and Eric, we've known each other. We was part of Sean Porter's camp way back when he was fighting Keith Thurman. And when me and him had met each other there, like our friendship turned like it just was, it was heightened crazy, because we were like on a day-to-day basis there. So we had a bond, and then when we went on the show, we were extremely connected. He was definitely like a big brother of mine. So being on the show, me and him having our bed side by side, you know, going throughout the show, seeing each other every day on a day-to-day basis, like literally sharing, doing everything pretty much together. Going into that fight, fighting Eric Walker, it was tough because it was so many things, so many hurdles that I had to overcome and get over, and vice versa. I'm sure he had to overcome and get over things as well. Like he told me, you know, his backstory and where he come from and what he's made it out of. So him, you know, having to go through all of that and then putting himself in this situation right here, he, you know, I'm sure, like I said, it was extremely tough for him. But for me, that was kind of, it was kind of new. It was relatively new. You know, I've never had to fight somebody who was close to me. Not saying that he has had to, but, you know, I wasn't, you know, introduced. I fought my friends growing up, you know, and then we became good friends eventually in life. But as an adult, having to fight, having to set that stuff aside and really have the mindset, hey, look, man, you're doing this. This is a business. So, you know, having to know and understand that and grasp that all at once, that was extremely tough for me. So when I was fighting Eric, you know, I fight pretty, you know, clean. I don't fight. I try my absolute best not to fight dirty. And I wanted to fight him, you know, man to man, shoulder to shoulder, not do anything crazy, and just put my best foot forward. And that was my mentality. That was my mindset, because I knew what he brought to the table, but I also knew what I was bringing to the table. And I wanted to challenge that without letting my emotions rise. And the fact that, you know, there's a big possibility that one of us can really get hurt in this fight.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you say that, because the backstory of, you know, you guys kind of your relationship, it was shown a little bit, but it wasn't sort of documented or even explained the way you have. And it makes sense because, you know, he is one of those opponents in terms of his style. I won't say dirty, but he's very aggressive. He's hostile. He's in your face, and he's throwing punches in bunches. So for your kind of slick counter-attacking work, I think it was a good performance to kind of show your skills and actually make people think, you know what, Brandon can really win this tournament, because again, Eric Walker came in there with, I would say, that reputation not of being a world beater, but of being a aggressive, strong fighter. You know, he's got his height, he's got a good reach as well, and you felt he had a bit of an underdog story in terms of, you know, being what we call the diamond in the rough, you know, the rose that grew from the concrete. So, no, it was good to see you guys mix it up. Great quality. I guess one of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well, obviously, Andre Ward, I guess he was seen as a mentor, he was the presenter, but I mean, what was his influence like during the camps, during the show?
Andre Ward being a part of the show, being a part of the camp, he couldn't spend too much time with one fighter because the fighters in there were definitely jealous of holding on to that time. You know, this is Andre Ward. Everybody wants a crack at him. Everybody wants a piece of time to pick his brain. And what better time than this right here when he's here with us? For me personally, man, Andre, he kind of walked different with me a little bit. I can say that honestly because he told me from the jump. He said, man, I can't figure you out. I can't figure out Brandon because he's walking around here smiling. And even sometimes during the fights, you could hear them, you know, crack jokes, little wise jokes about, man, he's still smiling. Somebody going to knock that smile off his face, you know. It was little small things right there, little small gestures to let me know that, you know, they didn't quite figure me out. And maybe they did think that I was here taking everything for granted, rather than just being me, you know, that guy who just can't stop smiling because he's enjoying life right now. Andre he was very helpful, man, in times when we needed for, you know, us being in the house all together. We trying to figure out ways of having fun, or if we wind up getting into it, like for instance, me personally, again, I had a little bit of a fallout with Nazim Richardson, Nazim, him and his son, and after me and him had a fallout throughout the show, I didn't really like him. I didn't want to associate with him because, you know, I felt, you know, we just wasn't going to match. The kind of person I am and what I believe in and what I stand for is quite opposite of what he believes and how, you know, what he stands for. So I kind of felt that. And Andre came in and he didn't have to do this, but he came in and spoke to me about that situation and tried to make me see, you know, more sort of a neutral side of things versus, you know, me just keep like pulling completely away from Nazim or, you know, anything that could make the show look real bad or could make me look a certain kind of way, you know, so or making him look a certain kind of way. So I understood that. I got onto that. I got a grasp of you know, what he was trying to inform me upon, and you know, I let bygones be bygones. I let everything, you know, it was water under the bridge, spilled milk, you know, and we was able to get over a lot of things having Andre around at times. But, you know, for the most part, he definitely was just one of the guys in the house with us. A lot of the other fighters knew him already. I didn't really know him personally. I've only known him from seeing him fight on TV. But some of the guys in the house, they knew of him, and they've been around boxing long enough to have been in competitions with him. And so, you know, that was real good to know that that some of these guys knew of him.
No, definitely, that's good. And I guess, you know, on that, it was really interesting to see week by week to see if the yellow team were going to be dominated. So that seemed like some friendly sort of what we call banter in the UK, you know, just a bit of joking around between the boys. But it was interesting as the weeks went on, you know, because, again, the yellow team didn't get a win for at least, 3 weeks within the first show?
Yeah.
So that was interesting. But no, again, really moving on to the main event this weekend. So obviously you got the win, and you knew that it was going to be a professional contract on the line, and you know it's rumored and it's documented that you had the option of choosing Charlo or Triple G. I was going to say, I guess, how did it feel to have the option, and what made you go with Charlo?
First and foremost, the feel of being chose to fight these top fighters, it was amazing. Starting off with Triple G, since he was the first guy who issued the offer to fight, I was real appreciative. I was grateful to know that my name was being lumped up with, an international boxing star, the likes of Triple G. I was very interested in that fight. Once I got word of it, I was like, well, you know what I'm saying? I'm being called up to the big leagues. I don't ever view myself, well, I know, this is boxing and there's an A and a B side. I understand that, but I've never looked at myself as being an opponent. I believe in my work ethic. I believe in everything that, I do works, and I was willing to put forth that effort to show to the world by shocking him, fighting Triple G. And it just wasn't good grounds on what they turned around and offered. They offered for me to fight a Triple G kind of a guy, well, himself. And then they, the weight wasn't right. The amount of money wasn't good. It wasn't good. It didn't sound too appealing. It didn't sound like they was really interested in actually fighting me.
You think it was just an offer, just to say on paper they made an offer, but it wasn't it wasn't serious, similar to what Ward accused them of a few years back.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was feeling. That's kind of where I was at when when boxing is, you put your life on the line, and then you fighting a guy like who he is and what he stands for, and then getting that kind of offer, you just that can kind of that can kind of upset you. That can kind of frustrate you. It didn't for me. It just because
you just chose another place.
Yeah, I know there's a such thing as negotiation, so I wanted to see what exactly was they talking about, and found out they wasn't really talking about anything. But it also opened the doors for me to be called up to fight for the interim title, the WBC, in Jermall Charlo being the champion.
Yeah, no, definitely. And again, obviously, so you're facing Charlo. I mean, what are the sort of I guess the strengths and the weakness, but obviously as opponent, is a tough challenge. He's got a reputation, knockouts, undefeated. How tough is this challenge that you're facing in Charlo?
I mean, it is what it is. He's a champion. He's a champion for a reason. I can't take anything from him, but I believe this challenge is going to be as tough as I allow it to be. Yeah, he's a guy at the top levels, but like I said, I feel like I've always been, once I've gotten the position to be, I'll be ready to defend that I belong at the top. And this is an opportunity to showcase it. So I believe, as long as I stick to being me, I do what I'm supposed to do. And regardless of who I'm in front of, I will get the victory. So it's more so not so much as we worried about him. Without taking that light off of that, I want to say I'm more so focused upon me. I'm focused upon, what I need to do and how to become a better me for this opportunity.
Yeah, no, and I saw on your Instagram, I think was it Oak Athletics, where you seem to be running up a hill, a very steep peak hill. I saw that on your Instagram today. So yeah, the training is definitely intense and high intensity explosiveness. That's what you're looking to bring on Saturday night. Yeah,
I did that for fun, man. I've seen that steep hill. I ain't never seen anything like that, so I wanted to try it out. I did it a few times. It was fun, but it's nothing like training. Everything is already done. At this point, we just, stand in the gym, stand active, get used to this Houston weather and the Houston altitude. But for the most part, everything is already done. So at this point, I'm doing it for the ground.
Why not? Why not? I mean,
yeah,
I'm not sure whether they've told you, why not do it for the ground? Because, I mean, again, I'm not sure if you've been told, but the fight is now going to be shown in the UK. So the fight is now going to be shown live on the UK on ITV, which is basically our free-to-air television network. Or if you have a TV in the UK, you will have ITV. So, again, that's a massive opportunity for the boxing fans to get to see you. I guess I'm going to quickly ask you, what's your thoughts on boxing in the UK? Boxing fans ever tempted to come and fight out here?
Yeah, man. You know what? The UK been great to all of the contenders so far from what I heard. And, of course, we would love to come out there. If we got fans from out there, you guys appreciate us, you darn right we want to come out there and fight, man.
Yeah.
It could be a home away from home. You know
100%.
I would love it.
Yeah, I think you would love. I think you would love the atmosphere, and I guess one of the things I want to touch on is obviously in the game now. There's very few teachers. You know, there's a lot of coaches, a lot of new strength and conditioners, paddlers, but there's very few teachers that have got a lot of knowledge. And you're working with Dub Knowledge. I just wanted to ask, how did that come around? You know, how long have you been working with him? You know, how much are you learning from him?
I've been working with Dub Huntley my whole boxing career, so 10 years. I've been working with him for 10 years. He's been giving me everything he knows and everything he can remember at this point. Dub's just about 100 years old.
A real teacher.
So I appreciate the heck out of that guy, man. He you know, he took me in like I was one of his kids. And he always tell me, up to this day, he always tell me, man, that he don't know everything in boxing. And if somebody ever did tell you that they knew everything in boxing or in life, get away from them. Run as fast as you can. Because, you know, it's always something to be learning. It's always 100%. Something to yeah. So, you know, me and him, we match because I have an open mind on things. I like to try things out. I like to, you know, venture out and see what's new and how I can make it more Brandon-ish. So I'm very grateful to him, you know, and I want to make, you know, his $1 Million Baby movie a real life situation.
No, I mean, you're dead right on that one, and yeah, no, wish him all the best. Again, it must be a privilege to be able to be around someone with so much knowledge. And obviously you're working with Roach and Nazim for a bit of time, but do you feel that complemented the game? Like you said, you know, always learning, always keen to be a student, working with the likes of those two potentially Hall of Famer coaches. How was that?
It's great. That's over 100 years of boxing being taught to somebody who didn't start boxing young, but you know who's looking at boxing, you know, as if I was, you know, a young student just trying to just adapt and pick up as much as I can. My job at this point, working with Freddie Roach and Dub Huntley, is to be water, you know, just try to absorb, try to take on whatever form they need me to, and be productive doing so. So far, they love everything they see and what I'm doing, what I'm bringing to the table. So, you know, I'm very appreciative, man. I wouldn't have never thought that I wouldn't have known how I was going to make it here. I had dreams of being a champion, but didn't really know how I was going to make it. Didn't know, you know, about this journey that I was going to go through. But I'm here now, and you know,
visualized it.
Yeah, I've reached, you know, being one of the top fighters in the world, and I got an opportunity to showcase that I'm one of the tip top, you know. So yeah, I'm grateful for that because you know, eventually once I'm able to showcase that, it'll give me more of a voice to speak to people, man, and to reach out to people who started off like me, you know. That's basically my biggest thing is to reach out and to help people, get people motivated, get people to get out and try to do good for themselves.
Yeah, you know, that's fantastic. And that's fantastic and very admirable to hear, you know, because as much as, like you said, it's about this, you want to succeed in the sport. I think your legacy outside of that, where you can help people, give people that, you know, platform to sort of realize they can contact you and, you know, you support in whatever way you can. I think that's a really good mindset and very admirable. Well, a question I wanted to ask, I mean, I guess the biggest sort of, let's say, shock, if you were in the boxing world, has obviously been Joshua Ruiz. But last year we saw Harrison beat Jermall Charlo, and then we saw J-Rock beat Swift Herd. So those are kind of fights where, let's say, the underdog and who's had a defeat won their respective fights. Do you take much confidence knowing that, it's not always just about the undefeated fighter, taking care of business? If they don't have their eye on the ball, people are coming to fight and come to take their crown. Do you take confidence from those 3 fights?
No. Now, I'll say because, for one, it's not only good for me to know this, but it's good for the boxing world to know that, it's okay to not have an O. For Mayweather, he did it, and he did it in fashion. But, now we're moving back. We're moving to a different era where, the O doesn't mean so much depending on what the resume look like and who's more battle tested, who's, their trials and tribulations or whatnot. But for me, every man, is their own man. So just because somebody else has shocked the world and did what they were supposed to do, they've worked hard for that. And I can't just assume that, that's just going to happen, for me. I got to put in the work. I got to make sure that I don't turn, that I am turning every stone and that I am turning every corner, at the right precision, the right way, at the right amount of time to make sure I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. So I feel like I've done that. I feel like I'm still doing that. And I still feel like there's much more to learn within myself. And then, on the outside of boxing, everything that's in and outside of boxing, out of the ring. So I'm willing to take on that challenge. And this Saturday, that will be one of the biggest challenges for me. Every fight is important, and every next fight is bigger than the last fight. So, every fight from when I fought Tyrone Brunson, the next fight was Eugene Kitroff. After Eugene Kitroff, it was Eric Walker. After Eric, it was Shane. But to me, every fight was just important because if I failed, if I fall, if I lose, then I've never known where I was going to wind up landing. Because, I just came off of the 3 years of not fighting. So, that's always in the back of my mind. So what I like to do is I like to push it to the front, and then I want to challenge that. Because I always tell myself I'm not going back. I'm only pushing forward. From this day forward, I am just moving forward. So that's it.
And that's a great mindset. And look, last question or last statement before I let you go, Brandon. I saw that obviously you met Tyson Fury last year. You've spoken in the last few minutes about obviously during this call about the 3-year layoff. Obviously with everything he's achieved, what was it like meeting him, interacting with him, seeing what he'd taken himself from and to where he is now? What was that meeting like?
We met. It's funny because I kept cracking jokes with him. I was standing on the couch just so I could be his height. I was standing. He's a mountain of a man. So when we came in there, he didn't say much. He just watched me train with Freddie a little bit, watched me warmed up, and then he was like, he said, I've seen a little bit of you fighting and stuff, but Freddie talks about you a lot. He said, he said you're a good puncher, but you work real hard. You're pretty fast, but we can see all of that. Then he said he liked to see the way I be dancing all the time because I was dancing in the back warming up. I didn't even recognize he was actually in there because it was kind of a lot of people in there. But then once they all left, and he was kind of like leaned down, so he was kind of like everybody's height until he stood up. And that's when I was like, oh man, we got the Fury in here. So it was pretty nice meeting him. He came in there humble, quiet. Definitely not himself. But I get, of course he wanted me to stay focused and everything, and I did just that, and it was a pleasure meeting him. And then, hearing his story, his back end story and what he's come out of and overcome, it's great to know that there's people like us, that are fighting and that's being vocal about that. Not only fighting that fight inside the ring, but going through our own battles outside of them, and then like we said, using our podium to speak out upon that. I think that's very helpful to our peers and the future
and society. Listener, as a whole, I think having that frank, open conversation, people being supported in the right way, I think it's something that everyone can recognise. So, no, definitely agree with you, Brandon. And like I said, it's really been a pleasure talking to you for these last 20, 30 minutes. Great mindset. Before I go, I was going to say, do you want to just shout out your Instagram or your Twitter handles, or let everyone know where they can find and catch up with the latest news?
Yeah, man. You can easily find me on Cannon Nation. That's our Instagram. That's 2 N's.
Cannon Nation with 2 N's.
Yep. And then on Twitter, you can find me on BA the Cannon.
BA the Cannon.
Facebook, Facebook, if you're still there.
we boxing is a diverse group, so young and old, we welcome them all. We even get some people on MySpace still now. I'm joking. But yeah, no, listen, again, Brandon, it's been a pleasure talking to you. All the best this weekend. Hopefully we get some great news on the weekend and we might be able to do a follow-up interview. But like I said, for the rest of this week, just focus, enjoy everything, enjoy the moment. Good to see your story in terms of you returning from coming into the Contender, winning, and now fighting on such a huge platform on PBC as well. So all the best this weekend, and thank you very much for your time, Brandon.
Thank you.
Take care, and we'll be sure to tweet to tag you in all the posts when we put them online.
Awesome.
All right, cheers. Take care. Enjoy your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye-bye.